What's up, nerds? Welcome back to another episode of Nerd Alert. Today, we're going to be talking about all things Harry Potter, differences between books and movies, maybe even favorite characters and villains, and even a potential new sequel, plus the new video game that came out. So don't go anywhere. You're watching Nerd Alert. Welcome back. As I said, today we're talking about Harry Potter, all things Harry Potter. As we said, Hogwarts Legacy just came out. There's possibly a new sequel coming out, but I think we're going to start off with differences between the books and movies. So I want to throw it to my first panelist, Tyler Drum here. Tyler, talk about some of the biggest differences between the books and movies.
So I'm one of those people who actually read the books, all the books, 1 through 7, before I even touched the movies. I remember reading the Deathly Hallows and going, that was really good. And then somebody told me, they made movies, and my mind was just blown because I'd never heard of a book ever getting a movie made about it before because I was really young. Mm-hmm. I remember specifically the first 2 movies are very, very true to form. They like to stick to what the books were trying to do. Mm-hmm. And then after that, they kind of experimented with what they would do and what they could get away with from deviating from the original books. And I think they did a good job overall for the most part, but there definitely were bits, especially thinking The Goblet of Fire, there were some things that they cut and things that they added that just, they didn't need to do that. Mm-hmm. It kind of takes away from what the 4th book was doing in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haley, I'm going to go to you. Same question.
Yeah, I was kind of like the opposite. I basically... I watched a lot of the movies before I really understood what the books were because at this time I was, like preteen, like I didn't really understand in-depth books. But once I finally started reading the books, it became more obvious that there were a lot more differences than, I would have ever imagined. Mm-hmm. So, like, one of the big ones that stands out to me is in most of the books, Ginny Weasley is typically, like, strong, like independent, like she's very fiery and stuff. And we do see that in some of the movies, but it's very limited more than it was in the books. And she really only gets her moments in the later movies. And I noticed that like as soon as I started reading the books and comparing it to the movies, I noticed like that stood out to me. I was like, there was not enough screen time for her to really, not really screen time, but for her to develop that fiery personality until later on, and that is one that I just really noticed immediately.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It seemed like Ginny Weasley was like completely snubbed in the movies and the books. Like they had a complete character arc for her, but in the movies, she had her moment in Chamber of Secrets, and then she was kind of thrown to the side. And then Order of the Phoenix, she joined, the whole Dumbledore's army. She did her thing. She actually was showing that she had some power and some grit to her. And then her story arc started to pick up. So, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying. She was definitely a side character in the movies compared to the books. I'm also going to go back to what Tyler said. Goblet of Fire, probably one of the biggest problems with the movie adaptation of the book was they just left out so many details. There's plenty of, like, house elf situations in there they just didn't mention. There's a house elf named Winky in there that they didn't even mention in the movie, that she was a very vital character in the book, and to leave her out was kind of just a massive problem for the movie. And so I think the movie, if you would just watch the movie on its own, I think it's perfectly fine, but reading the book after the movie, you can see that there's a big difference, and I think they only did that because of time differences. So now those were some of the biggest things, differences between books and movies. We're going to move to the new movie series that just came out, Fantastic Beasts. I want to get you guys' opinion. So I'm going to start off with Haley. Like, what are your opinion on Fantastic Beasts?
I do like the fact that they added more to the plot because with the book, it's kind of like a glossary almost, but the movie, like with Dumbledore and Grindelwald, that was kind of an added like plot. And I honestly think the movies, like Tyler said earlier, it's at this point I was already done with like Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. Not done necessarily, but like kind of growing out of it. And so at first it was kind of like, should I watch it? But I watched it and I ended up liking how they dealt with the plot and everything. So I ended up liking it, and I honestly am probably going to watch the other ones pretty soon when they come out and everything. So yeah, I think it was pretty well done.
Yeah. All right, Tyler, now you.
I agree a lot with the fact it was a good adaptation of the book. It took what was essentially just an encyclopedia and turned it into an actual plot with an interesting character who had been referenced through the entirety of Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you always heard of Newt. You just never really thought who that could be. And I like giving an origin story to such a kind of vacant character before. And I think that's something that was genius, because that's something the Harry Potter universe needs. It needs more stories that focus on characters that aren't the original cast. And I think this was a really good way to do so. For one movie. Yeah. And then The Crimes of Grindelwald came out, and then that was just not a good movie. It really didn't understand what made the first one so good. And then the third one came out, and I'll be completely honest, I had no idea that movie came out. I heard all the trailers for it, and I just never went to go see it.
Yeah, and I think we were talking earlier. You had no idea the third one. Yeah, you had no idea the third one came out. Secrets of Dumbledore, and that one, I have my own issues with that one. I can because there was a lot of talks that if that movie didn't do well, they were done making them entirely. They weren't going to make another 2 because this originally was signed on for 5 movies. They weren't going to make any more after the third one. And in the third one, they did have a fight between Dumbledore and Grindelwald. However, in the books, that is a major fight that the entire Wizarding world knew about. In the movie, it was kind of in their own little secret realm that nobody saw it. So if they end it with the Secrets of Dumbledore, that's not going to be good for canon, because nobody saw that fight. So how could anyone in the Wizarding world say that this was like the fight of all fights before obviously Dumbledore versus Voldemort later on? So that was great opinions on Fantastic Beasts. Now we're going to dive a little bit into the new video game that came out, Hogwarts Legacy. I'm going to say this right now. I do have over 30 hours put into this game. I've been enjoying this game extremely so much. This is probably one of my new favorite games. I compare this a lot to Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm just going to go to Tyler on this. Like, what are your impressions of this game that just came out?
So originally, I really was not interested in the game at all, because I thought, oh, I'm too old for Harry Potter now, because I was one of those kids. Mm-hmm. Then I sat down and actually watched a playthrough of the game, and I watched a lot of people's opinions on it, and I'll be honest, it looks really good. Like, it looks really interesting. It's such an interesting take on the Harry Potter universe that works. The gameplay looks fun. I like that you can customize your spells. The storylines look interesting, and I mean, I haven't seen much, but I know you get to fight some of the monsters from the Harry Potter universe, and that alone is probably worth the price tag for me.
Haley, your thoughts on the game?
So, unfortunately, as we were talking earlier, I only have a Switch on campus, so I won't get to play it until like June or July, which is, heartbreaking for me. But I have watched a lot of people play it, like just watch live streams and everything. And I have experience with like Harry Potter mobile games, but on an iPhone, how good can they really be? So when I saw the graphics and everything for this game and like read about the concept and just like, I was like, man, I need to have this. And I honestly am like devastated that I can't play it right now. But it's going to make it all the more sweeter when I get my hands on it. So I'm really excited to experience it and not just watch somebody play it.
Well, coming from experience, I promise you both that you will both enjoy this game so much. I mean, it really does differ from the movies in the franchise, but still has that same nostalgic feel that you usually get. Fortunately, that's all the time we have for this first segment, but don't go anywhere. We got Woo Tunes with Joe Venzel and Meg Berry up next.
Have you ever been to the Everly Library? If not, you should, because it's great. They have books of all different genres: history, biography, fiction. Try The Evolution of Life, Life of Pi, or Jurassic Park. So what if books aren't your thing? Try movies like Frozen, or TV shows like Lost. Books and DVDs aren't the only thing though. Take a trip to the second floor. Welcome to the Writing Center. These tutors will tell you everything you need to know about writing a paper, and they'll help revise your essays. Now let's head back down. Behold, the Knox Learning Center. Need to print something out 5 minutes before your next class because you procrastinated? No problem. You can also print off pictures of dogs. Because, well, you can. So grab your homework, laptop, and textbook, and study diligently. Bring your lunch too. Actually, you can't. That's illegal. Now you know the Everly Library. Stop by anytime. Seriously, it's open all week.
Hello and welcome back to Woo Tunes here on Nerd Alert. I'm Joe Benzel, and here with my co-host this week is Megan Barry. Megan, we have the same topics that we had last week, top 10 on the Billboard and our song of the week. But the number one new song on the top 100, or top 10 I should say, is 1035 by Tiesto. I haven't looked at this one. I've heard people listen to it just on TikTok and stuff, but
yeah,
how do you feel?
that's the only time I've really seen it is on TikTok and things of that nature. I've never really actually sat down and listened to it, so I don't really have an opinion on this one.
Fair enough. And the next one is Golden Hour at 2 by Jake. I've heard this one. I do like it. It's very melodic and very chill. I'd like to put this one on.
Yeah, I agree. I like this song. It's very chill and relaxing, but I definitely think it only really got big because of TikTok.
As most of the songs do nowadays. But at number 3 is Bloody Mary and Lady Gaga. I really don't listen to Lady Gaga that much, so I don't have much of an opinion on this song.
I don't have much of an opinion on this one either, other than I'm pretty sure it only got big because of the show Wednesday.
Okay.
Apparently I think she danced to it in one of the scenes, but me personally, I've never really listened to that song.
Well, fair enough. And, well, I know you listened to this one at number 4, Die For You by The Weeknd, making its way back up after 2016 Starboy, getting back in popularity. And I love this song, and I know you love this song.
Yeah, I love this song. It's one of my favorite songs right now currently.
Well, fair enough. And then 5, we have Star Walkin' by Lil Nas X. I do like this song as well. It's more hip-hop, as he's been really kind of coming onto the scene as more of a hip-hop artist and less of a mainstream kind of TikTok artist.
I definitely like it a lot because this song, unlike a lot of his other ones, didn't become famous because of TikTok. So I actually really enjoy this song. It's a good listen.
I also like this one, and I agree. Number 6, Nonsense by Sabrina Carpenter. Not the biggest Sabrina Carpenter fan. Also am team Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. I'm team Olivia Rodrigo. I honestly have never listened to the song or even heard of it. When I saw that it was on the list, I actually had to look it up. So.
Oh, fair enough. And then at number 7, we have Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift. The song's been on the top 10 now for as long as I can remember as the project came out. But I like it. It's T Swift, but
I like it, but I think it's overrated. It's overplayed. I definitely feel like we need to move on from this song, in my opinion.
I agree. Is also another one, As It Was by Harry Styles at number 8. Kind of over the song. It was cool. Harry's cool, but I just don't want to see it up
Yeah,
there.
when it first came out, I liked it a lot, but same thing with Anti-Hero. It's overplayed. I think it's time to move on here.
I agree. And then number 9, we have I'm a Mess by Avril Lavigne. Avril Lavigne coming back into the music scene after taking a little bit of hiatus. I love Avril Lavigne, some of her older stuff. Haven't really listened to this one, but I'll take a listen to it.
Yeah, I haven't listened to this one either, but I love a lot of her old music, so I think I'd like this one if I actually listen to it. So I'm going to have to take a listen.
Fair enough. Then number 10, Unholy by Sam Smith. I'm not the biggest fan of this song, just kind of mainstream and overplayed.
Yeah, I feel like the only reason the song became popular again is because of TikTok, and that's a pretty big trend we see going on here. But yeah, I agree. I'm not a huge fan of this song.
Fair enough. Then we are moving on to our next segment, which is Song of the Week. Megan, your song.
My song of the week is Players by Corey LeRae. It's honestly got big because of TikTok, but that's just a really big trend going on. But I really enjoy the song. I like the beat, and I just like how laid back it is, and it's not really like rap, it's more like hip hop.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's chill.
It is.
She's kind of coming onto the scene as well as
She
being
definitely
a
is.
big
And
female rapper. But
Yeah.
no, I also like the song.
yeah, I agree.
Fair enough. And then my song of the week is IG by Pierre Bourne. Pierre Bourne coming off of a hiatus as well after dropping an album, I believe, last month. This new single has been on release for about 5 years now, and I'm glad to just have it out. One of my favorite songs that I've been listening to, since it came out unreleased, but yeah, one of my favorite songs at the moment.
I like this song too. It popped up randomly on my Apple Music the other day, and I didn't know it. So I looked it up and listened to the unreleased version, and I like it a lot. It's a very good song.
Very beautiful song, and highly recommend listening to mine and Megan's songs. And that will be the end of our Woo Tude segment. And next is Ray with Movie Minute.
Hey nerds, my name is Ray and welcome back to Nerd Alert. A lot of exciting show releases will be premiering in the next month, so we've got a lot to talk about. Mandalorian Season 3 premieres on March 1st. To Star Wars fans across the world, this season just might be an answer to prayer, due to the peril Season 2 left fans in a state of. To give you a brief recap, Season 2 left off with Luke Skywalker boarding the Moff Gideon's ship, only to find Mando and his entire crew helpless. The third season will follow a lone gunfighter as he makes his way through the galaxy in hopes of redeeming his past transgressions. Also premiering in March of 2023, the Netflix original show Shadow and Bone will be releasing the second season on March 16th. This season, consisting of 8 episodes, will follow the second book in Leigh Burgadu's popular book series. Viewers who have not read the book series can expect quite a lot of thrill from the season, but viewers who have read the series can anticipate much as well. Personally, I'm excited to see how the book compares to the show. The final show I'll be talking about today is The Klutzy Witch. This anime series will be released on March 31st, and it follows the book series, which is set in a wondrous world where witches and wizards run the place. The story follows the klutzy apprentice witch who breaks the seal of a dark witch who almost destroyed the world. That's all I have for this edition of Movie Minute. Come back next time to learn more about upcoming movies and shows.
You're watching WCTV, where we aim to bring you the best local coverage of what you care about most. Everything from local businesses to hometown sports and the latest weather. We're keeping up to date with what you need to know about issues that affect our campus and our community. We're telling the stories that matter, celebrating our past, our future, and our potential. So tune in for all the latest buzz right here on WCTV Channel 14, Waynesburg.
Welcome back, everybody. This segment, we're going to be talking about our favorite plot points, favorite characters, maybe even favorite villains of the entire series. We may keep Fantastic Beasts to the side, but I know I have a character from both the Harry Potter series and Fantastic Beasts series that coincide together. But first, I'm going to throw it to my panelist, Tyler, on what's his favorite plot point. What is your favorite plot point in the series?
So I've thought about this for a while because it's a really difficult choice to make. Personally, just from the books alone, I think there's a plot point from every single one that I love, like, to death. But if I had to pick a favorite, it would have to be, hands down, everything with Buckbeak in Prisoner of Azkaban. I love Buckbeak. I think it's just such a cool design. Mm-hmm. It's such a cool creature from to deal with. And I love the fact that, like, tackles the idea of this is a dangerous creature that, like, somebody's arrogance causes it to need to die. And I love how that ties into the ending with the Time Turner. And I just think it's hilarious how they're going back in time to stop them from, like, their past selves from dying. And they just go, hey, what if we save this random hippogriff as well? And I love that.
You know, you're sounding like a true hippogriff, right? Hippogriff.
Hippogriff.
Hufflepuff. I caught myself. You know, you said hippogriff. I thought Buckbeak. You sound like a true Hufflepuff right there. I'm a Slytherin myself. But Haley, what is your favorite plot point so far?
So basically, I love Order of the Phoenix, and I really like, you know, whenever they're fighting the Death Eaters and everything. When Sirius and Harry are fighting side by side and he goes, "Nice one, James," I just love the parallels. The parallels that they use, like, throughout all of the, you know, just between Sirius or even Lupin and Harry, like, you know, and it just, you see that throughout, like, a lot of the movies and everything, and I just absolutely adore that. I know that scene made me cry, not for the reason that it should have, but, you know, just that whole parallel just gets me every time.
No, I completely agree with you. But I think my favorite plot point in the entire series may have been Severus Snape's entire character arc. I mean, he starts off as a guy, especially in the books, he starts off as a guy that you just want to hate. Like, he's in almost every book, you think he's the main bad guy. He's the one doing all of this. He's the one wanting to steal the stone. Maybe he's even the one that probably opened the Chamber of Secrets. You never know. Like, this is a guy that you want to hate, and J.K. Rowling wrote him as a character that you want to hate. However, as you get near the end of the books, especially in the Deathly Hallows, he has such an incredible arc. I mean, this is a person that had to deal with almost just as much as trauma as maybe even Harry had to deal with. I mean, this whole story is about dealing with trauma and overcoming it. And Snape dealing with his trauma of losing his, you know, long lost love. I mean, he never got with Lily, and, you know, a lot of people probably say that he should have. I don't think he should have, but he messed it up himself. But like, just still the emotions and the feelings he still had for Lily, and being one of the reasons that she had died, that is definitely, something that he had to deal with, and he tried to, right the wrongs. So he was definitely one of my favorite plot lines. But now we're going to move on to favorite characters, and we're going to start off with some of the good guys here. So Haley, we're going to start with you. Who's your favorite good character?
I really enjoy Neville. I think Neville is my favorite just because, like I said, I'm a sucker for a redemption arc, much like Snape. I'm a sucker for a redemption arc, and the whole chance that Neville could have been in Harry's position just gave him so much more depth. Just he could have had just any regular, hero trope, but he really could have been where Harry was, and I think that just makes his character depth crazy different.
Mm-hmm.
I really just enjoy Neville, and I really just enjoy how he went from this nerdy, geeky guy to ending up being the final blow to Voldemort, and I just think it was ridiculously awesome character.
Yeah, it was a fantastic turnaround for Neville and his character. Tyler, what about you?
So I have two that come immediately to mind. I'm just going to pick the one that made me cry, Remus Lupin. Just hands down, he was the moment in the book specifically where I just sat down and I just cried. Because his death, where it just said him and Tonks, who both were married and they loved each other, they died right next to each other. That just, it broke my heart. And it hurt so much. I felt bad for so many of the deaths. Dobby made me feel sad. Fred made me feel sad. Almost all the deaths at the end made me feel really bad. But their death, the entire fight, I'm thinking to myself, they're going to make it, right? They're going to make it, right? That we're not getting shown. And it's so unceremonious. It's it's no big fanfare, but I think that's what makes it so powerful.
No.
And just the fact it's a fantastic character that just goes away in a whoosh of wind, and it's genius. I love it.
I'm gonna say my favorite character of all time, and this one probably is a hot take. Maybe a lot of people don't agree with me. Haley, I know you do not. Albus Dumbledore is by far my favorite character of the entire series. He's the one that shapes this entire series together. A lot of people like to say, well, Dumbledore could have prevented Voldemort from happening. He could have just killed him as a child. Boom, there it ended. No, because he couldn't have prevented anything Voldemort had done. You have to think of it from this standpoint. This is a big plot hole that was missing from the movies. In the books, it was described that Voldemort was conceived via love potion. Therefore, when he was growing up, he could not feel love at all. He had no emotion towards other people. There was nothing Dumbledore could have said or done to stop Voldemort from becoming who he becomes. So Dumbledore could not have stopped him. And for a lot of people saying that Dumbledore groomed Harry into just dying, and as Snape put it, grooming him like a pig for slaughter, he had, at the time, that's what the prophecy stated. Neither can live as the other survives. So he felt as Harry has to die so that possibly Voldemort would die too. It was around Order of the Phoenix when Dumbledore found out that, hey, Harry could actually survive this. So then he was starting to help Harry figure out all along that Harry can survive this. He doesn't have to die to save everybody like his mother did to save himself. So Dumbledore shaping all of this is what draws me to this character, and this is why he's my favorite, and I hope that explains it a little bit better for some people that don't agree with me. If you still don't agree with me, that's perfectly fine. Now I'm going to go on to villains. Tyler, I'm going to start with you. Who is your favorite villain of the series?
Oh, that's a tough one. There's a lot of villains. I'm not going to say a lot of good villains, because there's not. There's a lot of very bad one-note villains who exist only to fill a quota. Favorite villain? I'm going to go the unexpected route and go Wormtail, Peter Pettigrew. And I don't know why. It's mainly that it's such a genius idea in a series where your main antagonist is the embodiment of evil, to have his henchman be somebody who's just a coward, who's afraid to... He knows they're not strong enough to do the right thing, so they hide behind other people and just follow them blindly. And I like that his death came at the fact that he realized, I'm a horrible person. I'm doing the wrong thing here. And I like that that's what caused his death. And I think it was really poetic for somebody who used to be James's friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Haley?
So mine's not as in-depth, my reasoning for it, but I love Bellatrix Lestrange. She's just crazy. She's crazy and she's entertaining. I know she's, psycho, but, she's very entertaining. And, if I had to pick a villain, the way she goes about everything just is chaotic. It's very chaotic, and I also think it's strange that I like her because she killed one of my favorite characters in Sirius, but she's just, I don't know, it's just hard to not like her. I love the actress too, so I just love the chaos that she brings.
No, that means she is definitely a villain that people could just gravitate towards because she's the embodiment of evil, so that makes perfect sense. And I'm going to go to her master, Voldemort. I think Voldemort by far is my favorite. He's not a complex character to learn. He's just, he's so cunning about everything. He's a true Slytherin, as am I, despite the red I'm wearing. Forget the red I'm wearing. I had no choice. But that's all the time we have for this segment. When we come back, we're going to be talking about a possible new sequel that is being in the works, maybe by Warner Bros. But don't go anywhere. We got Level Up with Tim Durkin.
What's up, nerds? It's Tim Durkin again with another segment of Level Up. Fans of the show know that I usually start with the Nintendo stuff, but we have a more important announcement to start off with today. Microsoft revealed that Call of Duty will not be locked to the Xbox. It will be cross-platform, even coming to the Switch potentially. This is a pretty big deal. Microsoft could have locked COD to the Xbox to bring a bigger audience in, but they prioritized gamer convenience instead, which doesn't happen very often. Strong work, Microsoft. So now I want to talk about the Nintendo Direct that happened about a week or two ago. A lot happened in it, but I don't know. I think it was missing that big reveal, We got more news on Pikmin 4, which is fine. Another trailer for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which kept everything vague again, and a lot of DLC. Some of the stuff like the Xenoblade 3 DLC got me hyped, but I also know that I'm a minority. Splatoon 3's DLC looks awesome, but there's almost no information on it. And now, it's time for me to admit defeat. I said last time that Metroid Prime 4 had to be revealed in this Direct. Well, I was completely, utterly, hopelessly, embarrassingly wrong. We got Metroid Prime Remastered. That's a masterpiece and all that, but man, I've wanted that game that I've been wanting for 7 years. Oh well, I guess there's the next Direct. I hate to end it on that, but unfortunately that is all the time that I have. Thank you to everyone for watching and enjoy the rest of the show.
Welcome back, nerds. We are on our final segment, and we're going to be talking about a potential sequel. Now, Warner Brothers just came out with a recent statement saying these rumors were false. They are not currently working on a potential sequel, but I want to ask my panelists what their thoughts on this sequel could have been. Mainly, it was going to be based off the 8th installment, The Cursed Child, which was made as a play, but I want to ask my panelists real quick, what do you think The Cursed Child could have ended up like had this been true?
I'll be honest, I don't like The Cursed Child at all. I think it was one of the main reasons I stopped liking Harry Potter as a series. I think in terms of characters, it really made a lot of them unlikable. I mean, Ron and Hermione are in an unhappy relationship. Harry's slightly abusive. His son is just unlikable. And I feel like a lot of that kind of ties into the fact they wanted to go a brand new direction with this, but it didn't work with the characters. So what they had to do is they had to retcon a lot. I think the idea could work. I definitely think that the idea of following Harry's kids could absolutely work as a story for a sequel. I dreamed of that kind of thing to happen for so long after I read that Deathly Hallows, but what they need to do is they need to really figure out what made all the original characters so unique and build off of that. And also, don't add a twist villain that's the daughter of Voldemort and Bellatrix, despite the fact that one of them can't feel love and that it doesn't make sense canon-wise. Please.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're very passionate about it. I'm thankful for your thoughts. Haley, what are your thoughts on it?
I liked the musical. I did. I understand what you're saying about how it's taking likable characters and giving them unlikable qualities, but I think that happens with everyone. I mean, I watch a lot of movies and TV shows where likable characters become unlikable, but I think if they were to get everyone to like sign off, like all the original characters and everything to sign off, I think it has potential to be really good. And like I said, I liked the musical. I watched it multiple times. I think it could do really well as a movie. And, you know, I do think, like Tyler said, after seeing the 19 years later thing at the end I was like, oh, they could do something with this. And then, you know, I think it has a lot of potential. It is like, I hope they could execute it well is a big thing.
Yeah.
I think if you take a musical and turn it into a movie, I feel like, or like, you know, like essentially the same thing, I feel like you have to execute it well for it to pull it off.
Yeah, and then you always have to ask the question, though, what is too much? You know, do you ruin something that's already slightly perfect, or do you just keep adding on like Disney has with Star Wars or, you know, Marvel or whatever? But I rest my case. That is all the time we have today for Nerd Alert. We want to thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to be going on spring break, so there will be about 2 weeks where we won't have an episode, but we will be back and better than ever. But as always, you've been watching Nerd Alert. Thank you.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.